The Commonwealth rests in the murder trial of Brian Walshe, but not before wife Ana Walshe's very good friend Alyssa Kirby testifies and basically just destroys Brian Walshe, saying that he was losing it just leading up to the murder, and had some very damning things to say on the witness stand.
Welcome to the global phenomenon, Surviving the Survivor. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning journalist, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation? Welcome to Surviving the Survivor. This is the global phenomenon, the show that brings you the very best guests in all of true crime. And what a crescendo today for the Commonwealth. The government resting in the murder trial of Brian Walshe, but not before Alyssa Kirby and the final guest to see Ana Walshe alive, Chegg Mutlu. They both took the stand, but Alyssa Kirby today on the stand basically said that Ana was coming to a breaking point with Brian Walshe, that she was breaking down, that she was incredibly upset about the way their marriage was headed, the fact that he was facing federal charges and was in trouble because of the art fraud, the fact that she couldn't see her children because of that, and she was commuting back and forth from Washington, D.C. up to Boston. And then you counter that with the fact that Brian apparently knew about this affair that was taking place, that he was increasingly becoming a little manic over the situation with his own federal case, that he was possibly becoming very jealous, and all of that really created the perfect storm for what the Commonwealth says was ultimately a heinous premeditated murder, followed by the dismemberment and concealment of then 39-year-old Ana Walshe. The defense on the flip side, they say that Ana died of a sudden death syndrome despite having gone to a bar class, B-A-R-R-E, that day and seeming to be in absolutely perfect shape. Once the Commonwealth rested today, Professor Joe Patudo, University of Nebraska law professor emerita, and Margaret McLean, a former prosecutor and a legal analyst for NBC 10 in Boston. The two of them talked to me right after the Commonwealth rested, and there was quite a bit to discuss. Let me start with Margaret here. Margaret, people are asking why at that point in particular, and this is before the Commonwealth rested, the judge, Diane Frenier, was reading essentially the arraignment for his art fraud case. Why then, and how come that didn't happen earlier, I guess?
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't happen earlier, but the judge must have made a decision to that's simply when she was going to read it, or maybe there must have been an argument prior to or at sidebar that we weren't privy to, but it did have to come into evidence clearly, his federal conviction. So, yeah. But boy, that was a great motion argument by the prosecution, and that's what we're going to hear in the closing arguments.
Yeah, he better just write it down and track it.
Yeah, I mean, Margaret, and then I'll get to Joe, but that argument just now by the Commonwealth, I assume that they were either prepared with that statement, knowing that there was going to be this motion for a directed verdict, or they were just kind of preparing it today. Like, when do you prepare something like that? Because it was point, one after the other.
That would have been prepared even before the trial, begins, because that's an important part of the defendant's case. So in just about every single solitary case I ever prosecuted, no matter how strong it was, the defense would get up and make a motion for a directed verdict just because, and I've really never seen one that was allowed. So that would mean that they take it in the light most favorable to the Commonwealth. So even if everything the Commonwealth says, all their testimony, all their evidence is true, according to the law, the case must be dismissed, and the judge can do that without sending it to the jury. But, so there were some valid arguments about intent and premeditation, but there was certainly enough evidence for the judge to say, no, we're going to leave that to the fact finder, the jury.
Joe Patuto, there's a question from Carson Hunter. Is this too harsh? The state had 3 years. Why does it look like the witnesses were not prepped for trial? I thought this last witness was great. Maybe with Sam or Jem Mutlu, they could have, I don't know, helped him along a little bit. But is this comment a harsh critique?
Yeah, I think it is. I think they were prepped. I was surprised, and I said so, that that Jim Mutlu had not read the the information with regard to the interview that he had done with law enforcement. That surprised me a lot because it would have at least refreshed his memory of what he said 3 years ago. But that aside, the witnesses were prepped. And I don't know, if we're looking at Mutlu in particular, I don't know how much it would have helped his trial testimony for them to try, excuse me, to get him to understand what he could testify to and what he could not testify to. He just honestly didn't understand it. He didn't understand it the number of times that the judge told him. He didn't understand it when the prosecutor told him. He was perplexed every time they said, don't characterize, just tell us what she said, because then we heard, well, it was 3 years ago. Look at the other statement. So I don't know that would have helped. I watched, helped on a murder trial years ago where there was a prosecution witness. The defendant had actually killed 3 people, but the other 2 murders couldn't come in. And they prepped that witness. I can't tell you how many times. You can't mention the other 2 murders. And he got on the stand, and virtually with the first question that the prosecutor asked, we heard that there were 3 murders. It wasn't that they didn't try. And it wasn't that he was doing it deliberately. He just couldn't understand. So I'm sorry, Joe, that's probably a long way of answering this, but I think they tried to prep Mutlu and it just, just couldn't take. And the others, I think, were prepped. You know, they answered honestly, you know, the things that inured to the benefit of the defense, they said, and that's what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to go in trying to cook their testimony to only show one side. And it turns out to be effective with a jury when a witness proceeds that way.
Jem Mutlu, I mean, he's in a tough spot, and he seemed very analytical to it, you know, in the sense that he wanted to answer the questions totally correctly, with you know, just answer the questions, and that made him, I think, overthink the process a little bit. But I still think he was pretty effective. You've got Raff and Roffer here with now the lingering question from Margaret. Why do you think, and both the professors, former professors, current, retired, whatever you want to say, why do you think Brian is going to testify? He will demolish himself. So, Margaret, do you still think we see him on the stand as soon as tomorrow? And will he get eviscerated the minute he opens his mouth?
I think he will get eviscerated. Absolutely. But knowing Brian, just look at him. We're looking at him now. He's going to want to testify. He's going to want to say, you know, say what happened. And even though his attorneys are likely advising him not to testify and that he still has the right not to testify. But I think he will. I could be wrong, but he's going to want to get up and tell his side of things because he thinks he's all that. He's a little cocky.
Yeah, he
doesn't look as cocky right now, but in Home Depot and in TJ Maxx and Home Goods, I thought he looked a little sure of himself.
Yeah, a couple of minutes ago, he was smiling with like a smirky grin. And I've always heard criminal defense attorneys say that they tell their clients, do not smile, be stoic, do not show emotion one way or the other, because they are always watching you. And if we're seeing him on a tight shot on camera, you can bet that the jurors are seeing that as well. Joe Patuto, let me ask you, what do you think? And we're waiting on the sidebar here, so we might get cut off. By the way, the Commonwealth rested its case at 3:04, exactly 20 minutes ago, Eastern time. What do you, up to this point, I mean, I think the witness, this Alyssa Kirby, the friend, is by far the strongest witness. What do you think is the strongest evidence against, I'm talking physical evidence against Brian Walshe right now?
Going to premeditation in particular?
Yeah, let's do it that way.
Physical evidence. You're talking about tangible, pick up, hold in your hand.
Yeah,
evidence?
the video, whether it's the video or, the wire cutters. What do you think is the toughest stuff that will play against him with the jurors?
Well, I think all of it will, but if I had to pick something, it would be the hacksaw, which just looks horrendous, and the hammer combined with the witness statement that they found clotted blood, a clotted hair on it, which just gives you this terrible picture of what occurred. But otherwise, I don't know that I would say it's any one particular piece of the evidence. It's the cumulative effect of all of it. I said, the other day when those brown bags were coming out with the evidence with the red tape, that I just thought using the red tape was just great, because it made me think of blood each time. And it's just that mound of it. And the other thing I hope they do, which I think would be really, really effective, is to do a timeline where he's saying one thing or doing one thing, and then we see his trips to the stores and his trips to the trash locations. I just think that would be a picture for the jury of just how diabolic all this is.
Yeah. Abbey Crossing, ever the humorous one. Here's to Costco getting through unscathed. They were not mentioned. Costco, you get a little gold star for best retailer in this murder trial for not being mentioned. Let's see here. What about, Margaret, the video elements, the video surveillance in the closing arguments, which are going to happen fairly soon. I mean, after it could be as soon as Friday potentially, but in those closing arguments, are we going to see them play, and I'm talking about the Commonwealth, the surveillance videos again? Are we going to see all that just to remind the jurors?
It's possible that we will see some of that. I think they should use more video evidence in the closing arguments. They didn't use any props at all in the opening statements, which obviously it's not evidence yet, but at least a picture of Aunt Ana, I think, should have been used. I just think you're right. They have to stress, the Commonwealth, the cumulative evidence here that goes to motive and intent and premeditation. So looking at the whole thing together, of course, they're going to anticipate what the closing is going to be for the defense. We just heard it.
And Joe, going back to... Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, will the judge give them a time limit on the closings?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I don't know if she will. It's possible. I'm not sure what this judge will do. I can't imagine either one of them going on and on and on and on. They didn't seem to in the opening statements, so I imagine she'll just let them go.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good question.
Yeah, Joe, to you, do you think the prosecution has proved this, for this first-degree murder, it is linked to premeditation? You were going to say, in terms of premeditation, what do you think is the best evidence, Joe?
I think the best evidence is really, let me think about this a little. I think it's really his queries, the statements about the divorce and where can you get where's it best for a man to get a divorce? The comments about Ana Walshe dead on the 25th. And there are more of them like that because they're coming from him and they're really hard to explain. But I think what's going to happen is it's this, the three things. It's the money piece, and it's the knowing that having a suspicion that she's going to leave him, get the boys, and he's going to end up in jail, as part of it. And I think it's his ego that's the other part. But I do think, I'm trying to think about it, I really do think, I'd like to hear what Margaret thinks, but I think for me, it's the things that point to it that he said himself, or that he emailed himself, or he texted himself.
Margaret, how about that? I mean, in strictly the premeditation, is there something that stands out to you as a juror, as a lawyer, where you would say more as a lawyer right now, where you think it plays into the premeditation factor?
Yes, those 3 Google searches where he mentioned the word murder.
Mhm.
So I think that they're going to hang their hats on that specifically.
And those were, I'm sorry, those were prior to the first, the 3.
No, there were no Google searches like that prior to the first, but this was
Okay.
after, the first. But
Uh-huh.
most of the Google searches, you could say, were about dismembering a body, but there were 3 of them that mentioned something like, how do you dismember a body after a murder? So the word murder was used like 3 times.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's telling as far as the strongest evidence of premeditation. And remember, reflection, premeditation doesn't have to be long. I think that jurors can piece together all the circumstantial evidence and then picture that after Jem Mutlu left, they probably got into quite a fight. And I think his story just doesn't make sense. Otherwise, he would have called 911 that she was found in her bed. But I'm putting everything together. He seems like he's getting more controlling, more jealous, based on what the last Alyssa Kirby said. And then it culminated at some point on New Year's Eve. Maybe she said, listen, I got to leave you. This just isn't working. And boom, he exploded and killed her.
I think it was a perfect storm too, in terms of, you heard from the friend, she was at an absolute boiling point, but it appears that he was at a boiling point too, feeling like he was about to lose everything. And it's the clash of the boiling points, and it ends up in a horrible, horrific murder and the dismemberment. Joe, if Brian Walshe decided not to testify, how would the defense's opening regarding his guilty pleas be included by either side? How did they?
Yeah, that gets messy because the privilege against self-incrimination, which specifically goes to you cannot comment if the defendant does not get on the stand, is read to be broader than that. And it covers comments such as, you didn't hear any evidence in the case about. And that being true, you have 2 things that are happening. One, the defense lawyer said it, and he also recited what the defense would be, which is not evidence. And the prosecution having a right to have something said to the jury about that defense didn't fly. So my guess would be that the judge will give the jury some instruction on it, but it will be a mild instruction. She may emphasize that you can only decide this case on what you heard witnesses on the stand say, what the evidence that was introduced at trial, rather than some direct reference to, you didn't, the defense lawyer said he was going to say something. And the prosecutor really won't be able to refer to it either without getting very close to a line that would turn out to be reversible error.
Yeah. By the way, again, quick programming note. Sorry to cut you off there.
That's
Joe,
okay.
But Joe is doing a full wrap up, 5 Eastern. We don't have a late show today. I was invited. Julia Janae, who's a friend and excellent on Court TV, she launched a new show. They asked me. I'm honored to do it at 7:00. So I'm doing that. And then I'll be on Josh Ritter's Courtroom Confidential immediately following that. Let's take a listen to the end here.
So I think that we all have our tasks for the evening, and I'll see you back tomorrow. Anybody need anything? All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And that's a wrap. On the same day that the Commonwealth wraps its case, Kingdom within us. We'll just go a couple more minutes here because we got a lot in there. My gut tells me that Brian saw the boyfriend's text on New Year's and snapped. I mean, Margaret, it's always the why, right? Like, how did this happen? Why did this happen? I'm curious myself. How did this play out? Because Mr. Mutlu was there on New Year's Eve. I don't recall exactly what time he left, but obviously after he left, something happened, and whatever it wasn't good. And then no one really heard from she or Brian for a few days until Brian started calling with us, I guess, his alibi to ask if they knew where his wife is, right? But that curiosity is always there about how it went down.
Yeah, and somebody in chat just reminded me that Anna's necklace was broken.
Yep, I forgot
Something
about that
more
too.
should have been made of that, or maybe it will be made of that in closing argument. I mean, that's a big deal. So he threw away what he thought she'd be wearing, the hunter boots and the jacket, and that ended up in the trash in Peabody. But would he think to break the necklace? There must have been a struggle. So that right there might be something that the jurors will hold, or at least one juror will pick up on and say, that necklace was broken. There must have been a struggle. So, plus the words murder used later on in his Google searches, but that necklace might be more significant, than I thought. Great observation.
Yeah, I agree. I saw that and I completely forgot. Another question here: where were the boys? I guess that they were asleep. And listen, little kids, I can't get them to bed, but once I get my kids to sleep, they're out. Tough to wake them up. My 6-year-old was driving me crazy last night. It's always a battle. And then you look over and finally they're out. And it's like, you can breathe. But parenthood it's bliss all the time. Don't you guys look at Instagram? Life is bliss. There's never a difficult moment ever. Here we go. This is the question probably to end on from Martha. Professor Joe, does it look like Brian will testify tomorrow? Is he going to go back to his cell and sob uncontrollably? And let's couple that with the fact that this guy is a con man. I mean, he is a literal con man, indicted on arraigned on these charges, which we heard the judge read. Is he going to be able to outsmart these attorneys if, in fact, he testifies?
He will testify tomorrow, and he will not outsmart anybody. I don't think he could outsmart them if the evidence was good on his side, but he has no good evidence on his side.
Yeah. And then, I mean, Margaret, just to add to that. So he says something as your former prosecutor, as a prosecutor, how do you know how much that proverbial door has swung open to then swoop in and ask really difficult questions? What are you looking for as a prosecutor while he's answering questions?
Well, Brian Walshe is answering questions.
Yeah, and you're
my
the
God.
Commonwealth. Yeah, what are you doing?
And I'm sitting there waiting for cross-examination. It's like I'm sitting before a big Wagyu steak. Oh my God.
I was gonna say chocolate cake, but go ahead. Yeah.
I'd be writing notes like crazy, but also you prepare for cross-examination, anticipating what he's going to say about, like, really, you didn't call 911? What did you do with the body, Brian? So, and again, you've got to be, I'd like to be in his face, bombastic. I'd like to be moving around the courtroom. I mean, this possibly could be the most meaningful cross-examination of somebody's career, right? How often do you get a chance to really cross-examine a defendant like this? It's very, very rare. Somebody that dismembered his wife and the mother of his children. My God.
And
wow.
Do you want, Margaret, secretly in the back of your head, and it could very well be the female prosecutor, do you want to try to get him to lose his cool in front of the jury to show that he is unhinged?
Absolutely. Oh my God, that would be great. I'd want to make him unhinged. I would go at this guy tooth and nail. And believe me, I might seem nice, but I have a tough side. I have an evil twin, and I can go after somebody hard.
Yeah.
Do you think this prosecutor will do it? I mean, he's been so buttoned up and so almost monotonal that it's a little hard for me to imagine that he can switch, turn a switch and get the passion in the cross.
I would make a comment about Brian Walsh's feathered 1980s hair, but that's shallow of me. But if I was the prosecutor, I'd go there. Would all sidebar conversations, Joe Patuto, be recorded by the court? Everything is recorded for the record,
yes,
correct?
Because it's part of the trial record, and the fact that we can't hear it or the jury didn't hear it doesn't mean that the judge didn't make a ruling or do something at sidebar on which the defense might want to use as part of the appeal. So it's all part of the record. It's all taken down. And if you recall from the Donna Adelson's trial, when the defense, for reasons again that I cannot fathom, made that motion after the trial, saying as part of this their list of appealable issues and the bias of the judge, said that he did not give her time to decide whether she was going to testify. And then the judge, in his order denying the motion, appended to it a sidebar he had in the morning after the defense rested, in a long transcript of him saying, I looked up some law last night and I am going to give you another chance to decide, do you want to testify or not? That was in the transcript, a sidebar, and it became part of the judge's order.
A couple more quick questions. I always lie about that. So, Margaret, to you, let's say he's testifying and now he's on cross. Once you are testifying, can he invoke his Fifth Amendment right on a particular question?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine he could, right, Joe? But I got so heated about thinking about cross-examining this guy. I had to take my sweater off. I was cold all morning. Now I'm like,
yeah.
I don't think he's entitled to pick and choose. I assert my fifth on this one, but I'll answer this one.
Yeah. I mean,
what do you think, Joe? I mean, I guess he can. What are you going to do?
I've stumped the professors. My guess is he can't.
I don't think he can either. I think it's all or nothing. Now, the practical question is, if he's up there and refuses to answer, what do you do about it? But at that point, I think, since I don't think he has a right to do it in the first place, that the judge then could permissibly say something about it to the jury. But, he's not going to do it. He's going to get up there and make an idiot of himself. Not that he hasn't already in the way he did this murder.
And Margaret, can we be 100% sure that at some point during this cross-examination, the prosecution, the Commonwealth, will ask, where is her body? Where did you put her body? Do they have to ask that question?
I think they do. I don't see a problem. I mean, 100% sure. I hate to answer that question, but I mean, I don't see. I think if he takes the stand, they'd be entitled to ask that question.
Joe, how does he answer that? How does he answer that, Joe?
Go back one step. How is he going to take the stand and explain what happened without addressing what he did with the body? I mean, as his testimony on direct, that would leave a huge hole for the jury. I don't see how we can manage to ignore it completely from the point of view of what he tells the jury his story is.
Yeah, I think he's going to get up and say the whole thing, right? I mean.
But what's his answer going to be to where's the body? I don't remember. I mean, what's he going to say?
He's going to say, I put her in the trash bags and I put her in the dumpster in Abington and it got incinerated. Sorry.
Yeah. Say,
I don't know.
Happy presentation in front of the jury.
I mean, I would hammer home if I'm and I'm serious about this. Say he didn't put her in one place; he put her in many different places, which is really disturbing because I think
you
he
think
did.
So?
I think so. I mean, that's my theory. But is there someone between the three of you? I bet you there is. You can say in this case for which team, prosecution or defense, you'd give more points. Joe, Commonwealth or defense?
No question, prosecution.
Margaret, Commonwealth or defense?
Prosecution, but they had a lot more to work with.
Yeah, and I'm with them on that. Gunderson here to Margaret. Did Brian plan on losing his phone so he could ask to use Ana's after their friend left, under the guise of using her phone to call to look at her messages and see evidence of the affair? So that's another thing that could lead to premeditation if jurors think that he intentionally misplaced his phone to get a look at Ana's phone.
I mean, it's possible that might be part of the discussion in the jury room, but if you use your common sense, which they're asked to do, we all do misplace our phones. I lose my phone in the house all the time. Maybe you guys don't, but I mean, especially if little kids too. I don't know.
That's why I have my Apple Watch. It finds the phone all the time.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you where my phone is right now. Oh, it's in my lap.
But the point is that phone was being turned on and off after it was supposedly misplaced. Now, that seems to me to be pretty strong evidence with regard to premeditation and what his plan might be, because you either have your phone or you don't have it. You're not plugging it in and unplugging it and not having it.
Margaret, to you, in Massachusetts, can jurors ask questions if they have questions?
Yeah, well, they can't ask witnesses any questions, but after deliberation, if they do have a question, they write it out. They let the court officer know we have a question, and they'll write it out, then hand it to the judge. The judge will see the attorneys at sidebar first and tell them what the question is. And then ultimately the question is likely to be read out with the jury there, and the judge will answer it. So we could see questions quite a bit in Massachusetts throughout trials. And it can be something, a lot of times it's, the jury will say, we can't remember a certain piece of evidence. Can we listen to the recording again? And very often, or can we listen to a transcript of the police officer's testimony again? And what the judge will say is, you have to use your recollection of what that evidence was.
Look at this. STS singles always in action here. Is Margaret single? She's so pretty. Love the best guests.
Oh, that's so sweet. I can't answer that one.
We're not asking for an answer. You can invoke your Fifth Amendment right. I'm just, I got to start up
That's
STS
cute.
singles.
No, I know.
And by the way, it is not a tagline. It's our reality. You do have the best guests. Love Margaret. Lovely lady. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. You guys are watching law tubers. You need to watch law professors and step it up here at STS. I think this was very interesting day. The Commonwealth definitely has these jurors going to sleep, wondering, or maybe not wondering, whether or not Brian Walshe is in fact a killer, maybe thinking that he is. And it might be up to him to save the day for himself tomorrow. But you heard Joe, you heard Margaret say it. It is likely not going to happen. Margaret McLean, she does legal analysis for NBC 10 in Boston, former prosecutor, former civil attorney handling civil cases, arguing in the court, an author, a YouTube channel host of It's a Crime. Margaret, your final thoughts here before we roll out and roll into a very interesting day tomorrow.
Convict him. And tomorrow I'll go to court and text you guys from the courtroom and let you know what I observe, especially if he's testifying. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, please do. Maybe you can hop on at lunch.
Yeah.
We'll get you the link. Yeah, that'd be great.
I bet you we could figure that out.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. Yeah. Joe Patuto, everyone will see her at 5:00 today. Someone here is predicting. Do you think Brian will cry up there? We're predicting Waterworks. Joe Patuto, will he shed a real tear? And your final thoughts as we head out tonight.
My picture of him is that he's not going to cry. That would be kind of, I think it would offend his self-image. Excuse me. And so I don't think he's going to cry. I don't know that I have anything to add to this. I think the evidence is really on the Commonwealth side. I don't think the defense did much today to bolster their defense. And in some ways, the I don't know what her name is. I've never known what her name is, but she really helped out the prosecutor with regard to testimony. I guess my final thoughts is this is a bizarre case. It's just a crazy brain that would work this out and do what he did. And my picture of this case when it's over is probably going to be him doing those shopping, not the trash bag tours, maybe probably not even the Google searches, but it's the shopping that he was doing. And in particular, shopping for clothes when he's got to have a closet full of clothes. Why he needed those socks and the pants and things. That's what I will remember of this trial. I will gravitate to the sort of the petty.
Yeah, it is interesting and odd that he is shopping for clothes. This guy was in and out of every store in the Cohasset area. The guy's a shopaholic. The next place he's likely to shop is the commissary. whatever state prison he is in. But huge thanks to Margaret McLean and Professor Joe Patuto. Check out Prof. Joe Explains at 5. And Margaret, we'll get you back on soon. And Joe, you'll be here tomorrow to watch Brian testify as soon.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
There we go. On that note, love you, America. I'll see you on Court TV at 7. I'll see you on Courtroom Confidential at 8. And we'll see you back here at 9 a.m. Be kind. Don't kill anyone.